A High Court judge to return to work this week, despite being arrested on suspicion of drunk driving. Almost 6 months ago, he promised to resign if his new anti-crime strategy failed. But will Gauteng's Community Safety MEC keep his word? And South African driver Janelle de Villiers wins the third stage of the Dakar Rally. Live from Johannesburg, this is E-News Prime Time. A very good evening. A Pretoria High Court judge will return to work this week despite being arrested for allegedly driving drunk. Justice Nkola Mutata was taken into custody after crashing his luxury car into a wall in Johannesburg. He was later released on 1,000 rands bail.
Photographed moments after he put his Jaguar through a garden wall in Johannesburg's northern suburbs in the early hours of Saturday morning. Metro police officers at the scene suspected Judge Nkola Mutata was drunk. The homeowner took these images of the judge still in his car. He also recorded what he says is the judge refusing to cooperate with the Metro police.
I want to do it.
Did you do the bring along?
Yeah, do it. No, I don't.
Judge Mutata has reportedly insisted that he had drunk nothing stronger than tea prior to pranging his car. But the police at this station weren't convinced. The judge was arrested for drunk driving and freed on 1,000 rand bail. A blood test was done, but the results must still be made known in court. Judge Mutata is expected to appear before a magistrate later this month. But before then, he's due to meet his boss, Transvaal Judge President Bernard Ngwepe, to apparently give his side of the story. The Judicial Services Commission points out that Mutata is innocent until proven guilty. The judge is still due to sit on the bench in the Pretoria High Court this week. Kale Nair, E-News, Johannesburg. And police say Kuruleni Police Chief Robert McBride isn't off the hook yet and could still face charges. McBride rolled his car in Centurion in December but was whisked away by several unidentified people before a blood test could be done. Witnesses claim the police chief was drunk.
The details of this case seem to indicate either gross incompetence by law enforcement agencies or a simple cover-up. By law, Ekhehuleni Metro Police Chief Robert McBride should have been subjected to a blood test after rolling his car, but wasn't. The police's Independent Complaints Directorate says it wants to know who whisked McBride away shortly after the crash. If it was SAPS members, they can be disciplined. But the Directorate doesn't have jurisdiction over Metro police officers. Police say they're still investigating charges of reckless and negligent driving against McBride, and he could still face drunken driving charges. But if so, it'll be hard to prove in court without a blood test. Ben said, E-News, Johannesburg.
It's been almost 6 months since the man in charge of fighting crime in Gauteng promised to quit if he couldn't get the better of the criminals. Well, with the deadline looming, Gauteng Community Safety MEC Feroz Kachaliya is still in his job. But where are the statistics that show he's winning the war on crime?
Iron Fist, a high-profile crackdown launched in the midst of a crime spike. And with it, this undertaking.
I will definitely resign if I come to the conclusion that I cannot do this, there is something that I can do that I should have done in this job which I have not been doing.
What followed were raids, roadblocks and searches. A show of force stepped up through the festive season. The effect? Cash and transit firm SPV Services reckons heists have dropped by more than a third since October. And here in Hillbrow, a notorious hotspot, some say Feroz Kachaliya is doing something right.
I do live here, I feel much safer.
For 4 years now I'm staying in Hillbrow. I can see that crime is going down and down and down.
But what of the statistics? The Ministry of Safety and Security has been criticized for releasing crime figures just once a year. And by then, they're way out of date. This time though, it will release Gauteng stats for the past 6 months. It's not clear when though. Gauteng Community Safety MEC Feroz Kachalia has refused to speak to us on camera here at his Johannesburg offices. But he has released a statement saying it will hold a briefing at the end of this month on the outcome of the new anti-crime strategy. So, you will just have to wait a few more weeks to find out whether or not he will keep his job. Dumala Mukhlaudi, E-News, Johannesburg.
Police in Port Elizabeth are searching for 6 gunmen suspected of shooting dead a policeman. 43-year-old Winston Vincenzi and his partner were attending to an accident scene when the gang of robbers confronted them. They allegedly shot Vincenzi 6 times at close range. Although he was wearing a bulletproof vest, he later died in hospital. The suspects made off with the policeman's firearms and a police radio. Let's take a quick look now at the markets. When E-News Primetime continues, Metro Rail fails to safeguard a level crossing, as recommended after last year's deadly train crash that claimed 19 lives.